Hello, and welcome to Developing Opinions. With the announcement of Mega Man Star Force Legacy Collection, I guess it is time for me to finally do this retrospective. Last year, I went through all 3 games and the 2 anime in Japanese. Today we'll focus on the first game, but hopefully by the end of the series, you will see why 3 is held in such high regard. Now there is something we need to get out of the way first. The only way to not compare this series to Battle Network is if you never played Battle Network. So much of Battle Network's DNA carries over to Star Force, and the changes, yeah, it's worthy of its own video. As I did grow up playing Battle Network and even recently played it before playing Star Force, that does impact how I view the games. But I think that can also be good for understanding why this series had a weaker reception, and yet why Star Force 3 is so great. However, in order to first judge the games on their own merits, I will try my best to save those comparisons for perhaps its own video. So, can Star Force be enjoyed? Let's ride on and find out. Let's start on a high note. Isn't that theme music so beautiful? I often just listen to it before playing, and each variation across the games is enjoyable. But this one really fits the space motif for me. Star Force is the start of a series focusing on the protagonist Subaru, Geo, and the alien Warrock, Omega Xis. I don't even know how to pronounce that name. And was made for the Nintendo DS. As Subaru, you can interact with the real world, but as Mega Man, you access the Wave World. The story of the game has a large emphasis on school, communication, and space, culminating in the theme of friendship with humans and aliens. In a very episodic nature, each chapter of the game will explore some dark side of humanity, often along with a theme of relationships. As anyone who reads my stories would know, I like this kind of story. There are some good ones, like the one on betrayal early on and Misora's introduction. However, others can be meh. For characters, the ones who are the focus of the chapter tend to be as good as their respective story. The undisputed star would be Misora. Sonia. Not only is her character so much fun, she also elevates the quality of everyone around her. The one who is the most divisive would be Luna. She is either the most annoying character or just a complex adolescent girl whom you get to understand in her chapter. Her lackeys, however, are just that, lackeys in this game. They show no agency except for when Misora is around. I told you she elevates everyone. In terms of gameplay, it is split between navigating and combat. For navigating, you often swap between worlds, but only in special portals called wave holes. And while the wave road appears over the real world, there is no direct interaction between the 2 worlds, besides invasion of privacy and some cutscenes. In the wave world, you can access deeper by touching more portals on the screen. The location you need to stand though can be slightly arbitrary for it to work, which can be annoying. To make matters worse, some require activation in the real world before navigating back in the wave world. It's even worse for side missions that I recommend you avoid them for your sanity due to so much unnecessary backtracking. Each chapter also makes use of the DS touchscreen for some unique gimmick. Most are tolerable, but the one with the best use is also the most confusing one. These and the general navigation actually make me curious how they will adapt to console ports, as Only the Switch 2 has a viable method for reproducing the experience on both handheld and TV. The main combat takes place on a grid in a mix of strategy and real time. You start each turn by selecting from 6 battle cards that grant you an attack or some other modification. You are limited to 3 panels for movement, but you also have a shield which can block some attacks. In addition, you have a lock-on ability which will allow you to temporarily attack from an appropriate space. This is probably my favorite addition to combat, as it makes swords a viable weapon, but due to the extra timing required, gives a nice mix of risk and reward. The weakest part of combat is actually how limited you are in customization, and instead many things are random. Unlocked the special form, gotta wait for the card to appear. Have brother cards? These are a roulette of their 6 favorite cards. Perform a counter? Your reward is a random bonus card. There is almost no strategy beyond creating the folder and selecting your white cards. It's still fun action though, as it is an action game with a variety of enemies and actions, just not at its full potential here. Your primary weapon has limited customization too. You find the weapons with set properties and select which one, and only one, to equip. At the end of battle, you are rewarded with either money or a card based upon what you fought. Here, the game favors giving you money, which is good for buying items and health upgrades, but that unbalance can be frustrating when you are trying to collect cards. Essentially, this is the base gameplay. It actually is still engaging and has promise. It's just that you need to wait until 3 to see that potential realized. From the story and character aspect, I think my complaints can be summarized by the character of Subaru himself. While the character is suited to the theme of the story isn't refined enough for us to care about him. Rather than giving anything to connect you, he is mopey from the beginning and has no charm. It's when Misora is around, when his character is at his best. To illustrate how much he is written to the plot rather than influence, his core desire, the one thing he wants, is to find his dad, and yet he does nothing to ask Warrock about it after the initial meeting. This trait of Star Force being inconsistent is the most consistent thing about the series. Like, why are people collecting battle cards if they cannot use them? Why are people unable to fight viruses that Mega Man needs to save the day? After shouting "Right on" right behind you, how does no one know his identity? Why does a loner who wants nothing to do with others care to help people? The result is, in the end, is that Mega Man Star Force is an unpolished gem. It shows hints of greatness and can be fun, but the mixed bag, likely from a rushed development, will take a couple more years before that gem is gloriously polished. My recommendation, if you want to enjoy this game at its most, you need to skip playing Battle Network or have enough distance and play this one first. Because once you understand why Battle Network series is so great, you will likely be frustrated too often by this title. For the next part, I intend to cover the first season of the anime before going to the second game where they make a few trade-offs. Thank you, and I hope to see you next time.